Those who follow me will be reborn in the sea of blood, while those who oppose me will perish on the Shura field. Sword. Three Lingxue player travels through Douluo, the capital of slaughter at the beginning, carrying the full-rank Little Orange martial arts to inherit the position of Shura God. He is picked up by Qiandaoliu and raced against time behind the martial soul hall, determined to kill Tang San. Keywords of the novel. Douluo. There is a chain lover who wants to talk to you without a pop-up window. Douluo. There is a chain lover who wants to talk to you about the latest chapter. Chapter 1. Something is wrong with this novice village. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Something is wrong with this novice village. In the darkness, a cold voice came from above. Sikhen, welcome to the capital of slaughter. This is the capital of hell, a world full of slaughter. Here, you can get everything you want at the cost of your life. Sikhen shook her head and tried to open her eyes. A woman with a black veil was squatting in front of her, frowning and looking at her. How could such a young child appear here? Si Qinshin said that I am not young anymore, and the ID cards for registering for Jianwang 3 are all my own. Moreover, she is still a medical student who has gone through 5 years of medical education. Wait. What is this place? Isn't she hanging up in Evil Valley? Why does that voice say this is the capital of slaughter? This is not the same world at all, okay? Fortunately, her thinking was quite clear and it took her a few minutes to figure out the current situation. Unless unexpected, I should have traveled through Douluo, but why is it that when others travel through Douluo, the novice village is mostly Holy Soul village? And you started off in the capital of slaughter. Is this reasonable? Is it because the hang-up location is in Villain's Valley? Sikhen was puzzled by his thoughts. If I had known this earlier, I would have chosen Daoxiang village as the location for hanging up. Maybe we could have started a simpler game. Or is it because of Ling Shuega's identity? Or is it because of the liver reaching the full level of burial? A blade of burial name, 1,000 strands of life rope. The Lingxue Pavilion Divine Soldier, when burial, is 2 feet and 4 inches long, weighing 9 pounds and 8 taels. The double-edged writing is blood red, flowing endlessly. Every time one drinks blood, they will emit a deep and eerie laugh, which is chilling. Burial requires 1,000 lives, bloodthirsty like a master. The protagonist is a crazy writer specializing in murder stories, who often kills people to verify his own ideas. He yearns for meticulous assassination, pursuing perfection in every step of the assassination. He immersed himself in every story and engraved the most satisfying one on the hilt of the burial sword. He succumbed to the power technique. Only the power technique could allow him to assassinate without any hesitation. He served at the Lingxue Pavilion Wugotai, hoping to carve another story in the funeral. After much thought, it was still the most likely to be a cultural funeral, but Sikhen looked at his empty hands and shouted in his heart, "Where is my little orange warrior? Where has Xia Chengwu, who has been in the liver for 3 months, gone? And why did my hands become so small? It looks like I can't even hold the mouse firmly." Most others have systems when traveling through time. Currently, it seems that I haven't even awakened my martial soul. Perhaps the system can only be activated when my martial soul awakens. Sikhen thought without hope. But now that I am in the capital of slaughter, who can help me awaken my martial soul? Is it difficult to awaken oneself in a life and death battle? Just as Sikhen was quickly pondering, a black sign was handed to her hand, with a skull carved on it and a number below, 6666. 9. This is the first word that Sikhen said after coming to this world. This is 6. The black veil girl frowned tightly, afraid that the child was not foolish. I know, Sikhen sneered as he curled his lips. What I mean is 6 flips. Isn't it? At the beginning, the capital of slaughter had no system, no martial soul, and seemed to be only 5 or 6 years old. They didn't even know that their small body was enough to squeeze a few cups of Bloody Mary. The cold palm of the black veil girl rested on Sichen's forehead, without a fever. Perhaps this child was born foolish, but unfortunately her beautiful eyes. But the process still needs to be followed. The black veil girl reached out to Sichen and said, "Welcome to the capital of slaughter." Sichen's gaze went straight over the black veil girl and looked at the black city behind her. The thick black city walls are extremely wide, and it is truly a city, with a purple moon hanging above it. The moon is very low, seemingly less than 500 meters away from the ground. Looking up, everything is black, like the existence of night. It seemed that no matter what, he could only move forward. Sichen took a deep breath, grabbed the hand of the black veil girl, and followed her into the city gate. Entering the city, Sichen saw a blue-purple world. The lights hanging on both sides of the street only emit these two types of light. Except for everything appearing so dark, at first glance, it seemed no different from an ordinary city. "I am your guide. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. Within 12 hours, I will answer all your questions. After 12 hours, this is where you live. You will also officially become a member of the capital of slaughter." "Do you know how I got here?" Sichen wanted to know why his luck was so bad. "Don't you have any memories from before?" The black veil girl was surprised. The child didn't look like a fallen person, as if he had appeared out of thin air in the capital of slaughter. "No, I just opened my eyes and there I am." The girl in the black veil felt even more uneasy. Firstly, the child had never tasted Bloody Mary or experienced any slaughter. Secondly, when the child appeared at the gate of the capital of slaughter, it did not startle the horror knight. She gently pinched Sichen's hand and found that his bone age was only 6 years old. "Have you ever awakened a martial soul?" "What is the martial soul?" Sichen decided to pretend to be foolish first. The intelligence she currently has is only the description of the killing capital and Douluo continent in the original work, but she is not sure if it is different from the real killing capital. Alright, now the black veil girl can basically confirm that bringing Sichen in is also serving food to those fallen ones. A 6-year-old girl, who has not yet awakened her martial soul, is going to die, right? However, this child's situation is quite special. It's better to report it to the King of Slaughter first. Perhaps the owner of the capital of slaughter will be interested in this girl. Since that's the case, I'll take you to meet the King of Slaughter first. Sichen nodded and was taken by the black veil girl to a dark and spacious room. There is an exceptionally large chair in the room, embedded with blue and purple crystals. These crystals are outlined in a skull-like shape. Except for this chair, everything here is dark red. A tall figure sat on the huge chair. In the darkness, it was difficult to see his appearance clearly, and it was only vaguely evident that this person had a slender figure. Tang San. Sichen silently recited the name, but she knew very well that the person in front of her who was about to talk to her was not Tang San, but the King of Slaughter who was parasitized by the blood-red 9-headed Bat King. "Great King, I have brought you a new person." The black veil girl knelt on one knee and looked respectfully at the tall man sitting in the chair. "This child appeared out of thin air in the capital of slaughter, so I have brought her to you. Her fate should be decided by you. Whether to stay or not." The King of Killing looked at Sichen with great interest. "There is always only one way to leave here. Do you think she can do it?" "No," replied the black veil girl respectfully. "Although soul skills cannot be used in the capital of slaughter, a child who has not even awakened his martial soul cannot survive here." "Oh." The King of Slaughter suddenly became interested. "It's too boring to make her die like this. Alright, let me help her awaken her martial soul and grant her the right to use soul skills in the city of slaughter." It is impossible to say that he is not afraid. Sichen gritted his lips tightly, preventing himself from making any sound, and pretended to be calm in front of the King of Killing. Since the King of Slaughter wants to awaken his martial soul for himself, he must seize this opportunity firmly. This is the only chance he can survive in the city of slaughter. As for leaving the capital of slaughter, this matter is currently not within the scope of Si Chen's consideration. Lift your head, commanded the king of slaughter. Si Chen obediently lifted her head and allowed the king of slaughter to examine her face. Extend your hand. Si Chen obediently followed suit and handed his right hand to the king of slaughter. The king of slaughter grabbed Si Chen's wrist, and a mysterious blood streak covered his pale skin. A sword-shaped magic stripe lit up on his forehead, and a pair of huge blood-red wings spread out from behind him. The cold and bloodthirsty murderous aura almost spread out from him in an instant. Si Chen was horrified and couldn't help but retreat, but the king of slaughter tightly grasped her wrist. I can't help you now, little one. Suddenly, a blood-colored mask enveloped Si Chen and the king of slaughter. Blood-colored dots appeared inside the lampshade and rushed into Si Chen's body in an instant. Immediately, Si Chen felt a warm energy filling his entire body. Under the traction of the energy, something seemed to break in his body, and all the energy rushed towards his palm in an instant. Just as the light was about to gush out of Si Chen's palm, a cold chill surged into her body, and a faint dark red magic pattern appeared on her surface. Si Chen instinctively closed her eyes, but when she opened them again, she found herself in another space. Where is this? Si Chen realized that she seemed to be in a mirrored world, and after crossing the Douluo plain, she saw her own appearance for the first time. In the mirror, there is a reflection of a petite girl, with a clean and fair face and skin like condensed fat. Her delicate nose bridge and cherry blossom like crimson lips are like a carefully crafted porcelain doll. It is so beautiful that it is captivating, but it is as cold as lifeless. The most striking thing is the captivating ice blue vertical pupils, which are a pair of eyes that do not belong to humans. Such an exquisite appearance made Si Chen feel that spending a few hours pinching his face was an incredibly correct choice, but unfortunately, he couldn't bring his graduation equipment with him when traveling. It seems that I am not wearing a soul, but a body. Therefore, my physical strength should be much stronger than that of the indigenous people of Douluo continent. This remains to be confirmed, but first of all, I need to figure out where I am currently. Just as Si Chen was staring blankly at himself in the mirror, there was a slight change in the appearance of the girl in the mirror. A head of long black hair instantly turned white as if it had faded, and the ice-blue eyes were replaced by dark red. A sword-shaped mark appeared on the forehead, similar to the magical pattern on the forehead of the king of slaughter. Is this? Si Chen looked at himself in the mirror in shock. Unexpectedly, the girl in the mirror spoke up. Si Chen knew he could never make such a sound, because it was as resounding as the sound of gold and iron, and every word he uttered seemed to make the air a bit cold. My name is Shura. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. This beginner task is a bit difficult. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. This beginner task is a bit difficult. This. Si Chen looked incredulously at another self in the mirror, the girl who claimed to be Shura. Sure enough, white hair and red pupils are the most sensational, and the average Chinese person controlling white hair is not just talking about it. Where is this? Although he was very greedy for white hair, Si Chen still wanted to figure out what was happening now. Your spiritual see. Shura's voice remained cold. Seeing that Si Chen was only 5 or 6 years old now, Shura explained again, simply put, it's in your mind. Oh. Si Chen nodded, indicating that he understood, then may I ask why you are in my mind? Of course, it's because your martial soul aligns perfectly with my divine power, said Shura coldly. And since you've just arrived at the capital of slaughter, you haven't been disturbed by the divine power of the Rakshasa, so I can only project the divine power onto you at the moment your martial soul awakens. Are you a deity? Si Chen asked knowingly. Nature. Shura nodded slightly. I am the god of slaughter, in charge of slaughter, judgment, and law, and also one of the 5 great divine kings in the divine realm. Do you want to issue a divine edict through me? This is exactly what Sikhen hoped. As long as Shura bestowed upon her the responsibility of being a priest, she could survive in the city of slaughter by becoming Shura's spokesperson, without having to join the slaughter of the fallen. As for the way out, she can think slowly. No, I want you to become my heir, the chosen one of the god of slaughter. Shura extended his hand to Sikhen. Sikhen was knocked unconscious by the sudden heavyweight news and thought to himself, would you like to reconsider this divine king? Don't think I'm being fooled just because I look like a child now. Who doesn't know that the first test of the 9 Shura exams is to have the realm of killing gods? However, Sikhen was not very willing to try the conditions that needed to be achieved in the realm of killing gods. Why? Why me? Sikhen couldn't even speak smoothly. That's not because the divine selection card I had previously favored passed the 8th exam, and one card lasts for decades. It seems that I will continue to get stuck. Shura hesitated for a while, but still told the truth. Sikhen looked sympathetically at Shura, understanding his desire to replace him. The feeling was as heart-wrenching as if game updates were stuck and unable to load, so it was better to uninstall and reinstall. I have learned the lesson from the last time and left my spiritual breath in your spiritual sea from the beginning, said Shura confidently. This time, I will never let the Rakshasa spirit take advantage of the situation. But I haven't promised to be your chosen one yet. Sikhen stared silently at Shura. Why did he put his divine thoughts in without authorization? So what do you mean by saying that my martial soul matches your divine power very well? I don't know what my martial soul is. Sikhen has not seen his own martial soul yet, but Shura cannot shoot aimlessly, which means that his martial soul is likely a divine weapon burial from Lingxue Pavilion. Shura remained silent for a moment and pulled out a blood-colored giant sword over 2 meters in length from the void. The slender and wide sword body was densely covered with dark golden demonic patterns, and the blood-red sword was filled with an extremely fierce killing aura. As Shura is exactly the same height as Sikhen, it seems that he is not half as tall as the giant sword, but Shura doesn't care at all. The giant sword hits the sky at the moment when Shura lets go, and Shura jumps gently and sits firmly in the center of the giant sword. Good guy, can you still fly with a sword? Sikhen tentatively asked, is this my martial soul? It didn't seem quite right, but what made her feel that Zhu Sheng was perfect should be the man Jia Wen burial. No. The magic pattern on Shura's body lit up. I can feel that your martial soul level is not inferior to that of Shura sword. Summoning Shura sword is to temporarily suppress your martial soul awakening. As long as you don't summon your martial soul, it will. With your words, I can rest assured. Sichen's heart twitched, and a warm feeling surged into his palm once again. At the moment when the red and black scythe was wielded, Ling Shuega's mind technique, Hidden Dragon Decision, began to operate, and his familiar martial arts routines and skills were instantly activated. Without hesitation, Sikhen swung it towards the Shura in the mirror, as if any further hesitation was disrespectful to the Divine King. The mirror cracked in response to the sound, and Shura quickly leaned back to escape the sudden attack launched by Sichen. After dodging this blow, Shura's icy face finally had cracks. Is it difficult for such a fierce little ghost to be the reincarnation of the Rakshasa? When the funeral was held in her hand, Sikhen finally felt at ease. This was her only reliance in this world, and compared to the Shura who disregarded invading her brain, she believed more in the weapon in her hand. Sikhen lightly stroked the slender blade handle of the Wenburi, which was engraved with densely packed small characters, depicting meticulous assassination methods. Each step was perfect, and he must have been able to master 2 moves with Shura in the spiritual realm, just like a cat drawing a tiger. At the same time, she could also feel that at the moment her martial soul awakened, her soul power had already reached level 10, which is the so-called innate soul power full level, but unfortunately, she had not yet attached a soul ring. Little girl, what are you doing? Shura asked. I'm sorry, the great god king, said Sikhen softly. I don't really like men breaking into my mind without saying hello. You should be a male god, right? I'm sorry, neither can male gods. Shura's blood-red eyes suddenly flashed with admiration. Perhaps in the eyes of others, Sikhen was really ignorant, and the inheritance of the divine throne was an opportunity that many people could not seek. However, not only was she not interested, but she also waved her sword disrespectfully at the divine king. But as a law enforcer in the divine realm, Shura bears the responsibility of judging the gods. She greatly appreciates Sichen's action. She even dares to strike the god king, let alone other gods. This is exactly the successor she needs. So Shura didn't hide his admiration for Sikhen and told him exactly what he was thinking. Hearing this, Sikhen furrowed his brows and felt that there was indeed an insurmountable generation gap between gods and humans. Seeing that Sikhen still did not agree, Shura could only adopt a more gentle way of communication. Don't you want to leave the capital of slaughter? I think so. Sikhen couldn't refute this point, she didn't want to stay in the capital of slaughter at all. Little girl, I can tell you that there is only one way to leave the capital of slaughter, which is to win 100 victories in the hell's killing field, and then walk the path of hell before you can go outside. Shuro paused and continued, and once you walk the path of hell, you will gain the god-killing domain. At that time, even if you are unwilling, the divine exam will automatically open. So what benefits can I get? Sikhen stared at Shura with caution. Upon hearing Sichen's words, Shura knew she had let go and couldn't wait to recount his inheritance plan to her. You should know that just completing the assessment is not enough. You also need to blend in with the Shura sword during the assessment, so I will make the Shura sword your second martial soul. Sikhen noticed something unusual. If the Shura sword became his second martial soul, what would be the sword in the hand of the king of slaughter? As if seeing through Sichen's thoughts, Shura explained, Tang San did not complete the 8th exam. He could only use his mastery of Shura power to transform the shape of the Shura sword, which is not the real Shura sword. Sikhen nodded and gestured for Shura to continue speaking. Although your martial soul is on par with the level of the Shura sword, the Shura sword itself is a supernatural artifact. Although your physical strength is different from that of an ordinary person, you still cannot bear it now. After all, it is not a martial soul that you have stimulated yourself. I will set a seal, and every time you complete an assessment, a part of the seal will be lifted. You don't need to attach a soul ring specifically to the Shura sword. After each assessment is completed, the Shura sword will have an additional soul ring. Considering that your first martial soul cannot attach a soul ring in the capital of slaughter, after all, it is not easy to hunt soul beasts here. I will use the divine power I projected on you to attach the first soul ring to the Shura sword. When you complete the 9th examination of the Shura sword, the sword will have a 10th soul ring. As for how long the soul ring can withstand now, it depends on your physical strength. Sikhen put away the funeral and took the initiative to extend his hand to Shura, saying, I accept it. Since Shura had already put all the water into it, it seemed a bit unreasonable for him not to accept it. With a flash of red light, the Shura sword had already arrived in front of Sichen. A strange scene appeared. When the Shura sword reached a position only 3 meters away from Sichen, the giant sword transformed into a total of 9 dark red airflow, floating upwards, flowing into her body from different positions. Suddenly, a dark red magic line appeared on Sichen's originally fair and pink skin. This magic line did not appear directly on her skin, but rather a layer of radiant energy suspended in a slight position on her skin. She thought that the opening process of the second martial spirit would be very painful, but she didn't feel anything. She just felt the 9 cool air flowing into her body, which was inexpressibly comfortable. Soon, the 9 air currents were integrated into her body, and the dark red magic lines on the surface of her skin gradually faded into the body. Except when the Shura sword was integrated with her body, her hair color and pupil color became the same as the Shura sword, and there was also a divine seal of Shura on his forehead, and Sikhen didn't feel any other discomfort. Sichen's mind moved, and a huge Shura sword appeared in her hand. With a flick of his finger, Shura hit the sword with a red light, and a white soul ring immediately appeared on the sword. However, soon the white soul ring transformed into yellow, then purple. Throughout the process, Sikhen did not feel any pressure until the purple color of the soul ring became increasingly rich, turning from light purple to dark purple. It was then that Sikhen felt unable to grip the Shura sword. Not bad. The age of the first soul ring is already close to the level of 10,000 years, and your physical strength is indeed unique. Shura praised, and this little girl is truly talented and worthy of being the heir she admires. Not only is her innate soul power at full level, but her ability to withstand soul rings is also different from ordinary people. Quickly, a dark purple halo arrived above Sichen's head, without giving her any chance to react. The halo suddenly descended and enveloped her petite body. Sikhen felt as if her body had been immersed in magma, and a scorching energy rushed in frantically. The intense heat rushed into her body in an instant, causing her body to tremble violently. No matter how the power of the soul ring impacts your body, remember to stay awake so that you can better utilize the power of the soul ring in the future. This was the last sentence that Sikhen heard from Shura. The next second, she closed her eyes and her consciousness was completely immersed in the scorching ocean. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Deceiving the King of Slaughter. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Deceiving the King of Slaughter. Sikhen slowly opened her eyes, and she had already exited the Sea of Spirits, now facing the towering King of Slaughter. After absorbing the soul ring, she learned from Shura that the number of years the soul ring attached to Shura's blood sword is not fixed, but will continue to increase as her endurance increases. It seems that this divine king is indeed treating him well. At the moment when the martial soul awakened, the power of Shura forced the King of Slaughter to release his grip on Sikhen. Sikhen was suspended in the air, holding a huge Shura sword. At this moment, her appearance had transformed into that of a spiritual cultivator in the Sea of Spirits. Due to the absorption of soul rings, her body had also undergone some changes. Her originally petite figure seemed to have grown a bit taller, and her skin had added a layer of shiny luster. The divine seal on her forehead gave her a touch of Shura's authority. This is. The King of Slaughter looked at the girl suspended in front of him, his eyes regaining a hint of clarity, but soon replaced by dark red. Has the messenger of God come? The voice of Shura echoed in Sichen's mind, I will bestow upon you the title of the heavenly God Hunter, and bring me to trial in the capital of Slaughter. When you complete your first assessment, we will see each other again. I am, said Sikhen with a hint of Shura's divinity in his voice, the heavenly God Hunter. It's an honor to meet you, young hunter. The low and sharp voice of the King of Slaughter echoed in the room, and the black veil girl had already knelt obediently at the moment when Sichen's martial soul awakened. The King of Slaughter and the Black Maiden undoubtedly have him. Since Sikhen is the messenger of Shura, it is reasonable for her to appear in the capital of Slaughter out of thin air, and the awakening of her martial soul awakens her memory as a divine envoy. The King of Slaughter quickly revealed a background for Sikhen Brain. As the owner of the capital of Slaughter, I am honored to receive the esteemed divine hunters. The King of Slaughter lowered his head, from now on, you will be the distinguished guest of the capital of Slaughter. Thank you very much. Sikhen took back the Shura sword, and she regained her original appearance. As for my envoy, she will take care of your daily life in the capital of Slaughter. Sikhen turned around and glanced at the black veil girl still kneeling on the ground. Can you help me test my soul power? Yes. This white crystal is used for testing soul power below level 30, all you need to do is inject soul power. The black veil girl quickly stood up and respectfully handed a white test crystal to Sikhen. Sikhen took the crystal and infused his soul power into it. The white crystal became as brilliant as a diamond, with a strong light covering 2/3 of the crystal. After absorbing the soul ring, did the soul power actually reach level 20 directly? The divine soul ring is truly unique. Perhaps it is also related to the quality of the divine bestowed martial soul Shura blood sword. After all, there have been examples of angel martial souls with innate soul power of level 20. Not bad. Sikhen was very satisfied with his current soul power level. In the days to come, please take good care of the King of Slaughter. Sikhen nodded to the King of Slaughter. This is natural. The King of Slaughter pointed to the black veil girl and said to Sikhen, if you have any needs in the future, you can tell my envoy and summon her at any time. Okay. Sikhen didn't refuse either. She needed a guide to the capital of Slaughter. Well. The King of Slaughter hesitated to speak, wanting to ask Sikhen why he suddenly came to the capital of Slaughter, but also worried about offending the will of the gods. But it doesn't matter. After solving the problem of survival and earning a guide for nothing, Sikhen was in a good mood. May I ask, respected hunter, why did you suddenly come to the capital of Slaughter? Sikhen had long anticipated such a question, and as for the wording, she also thought about it. Because of a prophecy. Prophecy. The King of Slaughter asked, what prophecy? The capital of Slaughter was the territory left by my god after breaking through level 100, but my god had a premonition that the capital of Slaughter would face destruction. While giving me a trial, he sent me to solve the root cause of the disaster. Sikhen remained calm and said, except for the last sentence, everything she said was true. In the original work, the capital of Slaughter was indeed destroyed by Tang San. What? The King of Slaughter was shocked, and the black veil girl also looked frightened. So, I need your help, said Sikhen, looking earnestly at the King of Slaughter. Please speak. The King of Killing firmly believed in Sichen's words. The girl had already shown a miracle, so what she said must be true. My god instructed me that the root cause of the destruction of the capital of Slaughter comes from the outside world, and my current power is sealed by my god. Therefore, I need stronger strength to go outside in order to cut off the cause and effect of the destruction for the capital of Slaughter. Sikhen looked directly into the eyes of the King of Slaughter and walked straight forward. I want to walk the path of hell once and obtain the realm of the god of Slaughter. The King of Slaughter remained silent for a moment. Anyone must abide by the rules of the capital of Slaughter, and even I cannot let you directly challenge the path of hell. You can only complete 100 battles in the Hell Slaughter field and win the championship in the Hell Slaughter field before I can open the path of hell for you. That's how it is done. Sikhen didn't expect the god-killing domain to be given away directly, otherwise the first test would not be to release water, but to release the sea. Sikhen remembered the ID card she had just obtained. She remembered that Tang San's ID card number was 95,228, which means that Tang San has not yet arrived at the capital of Slaughter. She just doesn't know what year it is tonight and must hurry up. Then I wish the hunters a prosperous military career. The King of Slaughter bowed slightly to Sikhen. From now on, I will serve as your guide and attendant, taking care of your daily life. The black veil girl dodged in front of Sikhen and made a gesture of invitation. Thank you, said Sikhen as she followed the black veil girl out of the room of the King of Slaughter. The next moment, the black veil girl returned to the gate of the capital of Slaughter with Sikhen. May I introduce you to the capital of Slaughter from here? No need, just take me to see the hell's killing ground, said Sikhen calmly. She will experience it sooner or later, and she must leave as soon as possible. She doesn't want to stay in this place for a moment. The black gauze girl paused for a moment and said, okay. But you should know that less than 1/10 of people can come out alive by entering there. It is also the place where our killing capital is most likely to reduce its population. Everyone is only required to enter the hellish killing ground once a year. With just one battle, they can live in the killing capital for another year. But you are a VIP in the capital of Slaughter, and it's not a problem for you to stay here for as long as you want. You don't have to follow the rules I just mentioned, added the black veil girl. After speaking, the Black Veil Girl walked towards the city. She maintained a very even pace, always following Chen's side, only slightly faster than Chen by half a step. Chen was not in a hurry to do anything, just quietly observing everything around him. By the way, what year is it now? Chen wanted to know how long it was before Tang San arrived at the capital of slaughter. Now is the year 2631 of the Douluo calendar. Although I was surprised by Chen's question, the Black Veil Girl still answered every question. Upon hearing this answer, Chen breathed a sigh of relief. Now that Tang San has just been born, she still has plenty of time. As he was walking, a figure suddenly stood up on the roadside. In the dark corner where he was before, Chen did not notice it. Yo, there's a newcomer here. She's still a little girl. It seems like there's another Bloody Mary coming. Just looking at her small body, I don't think she can squeeze out much, quack. Looking at this person, Chen couldn't help but frown. The speaker couldn't tell their age because his figure was too special. There doesn't seem to be much flesh all over my body. If it weren't for the layer of skin wrapped around it, it would be easy to mistake him for a skull. Moreover, as a medical student, Chen could tell at a glance that this person was deficient in both qi and blood, and could potentially die at any time. Isn't it possible for someone like him to pass through a battle in a hellish slaughterhouse? Chen asked the girl in the black veil. The skeleton-shaped person finally saw the Black Veil Girl on the other side of Chen, as if encountering something terrifying. He dared not say anything more and quickly disappeared back into the darkness. Of course, your judgment is correct. Not everyone needs to go through the baptism of a hellish slaughterhouse. After all, the mortality rate there is too high. In addition to experiencing a battle in a hellish slaughterhouse every year, there is another way to survive in the city of slaughter. That is to contribute 2 cups of Bloody Mary every month. From this perspective, the person just now probably didn't know how much blood he had contributed to become like this. I'm afraid he won't be able to support him for long. There are too many Bloody Mary's contributions, aren't they being slaughtered by others? Chen frowned. The girl in the black veil said, no, you are currently in the outer city of the capital of slaughter, not the true capital of slaughter. Only the inner city is the place without rules. Those who contribute to the Bloody Mary's survival can only operate in the outer city, and killing it is not allowed in the outer city. Only those brave warriors who survive in the underworld have the qualification to live in the inner city. Of course, the enjoyment they can obtain there is greater than outside, but they will also face the test of death at any time. Chen nodded thoughtfully, seeming that the intelligence he had and the facts spoken by the Black Veil Girl corresponded 1.2.1. So far, there have been no errors in intelligence. Walking on the road, there were gradually more people on both sides. Almost every face exudes an unhealthy pallor, with more of a bony presence. These are people who dare not enter the hellish killing ground and struggle to survive by contributing 2 cups of Bloody Mary every month. Chen clearly remembers that a cup of Bloody Mary is at least close to 250 milliliters, and 2 cups a month are 500 milliliters of fresh blood. As a medical student, Chen is well aware that when a normal adult loses 20% of their total body blood volume, which is around 800 milliliters, shock may occur, posing a life-threatening risk. However, these people are all soul masters with stronger constitutions than ordinary people. It may not be much for a month or 2, but how could their bodies be able to endure this in this place without sunlight? In the outer city of the capital of slaughter, there are some simple black stone houses on both sides of the streets, and there are only some places dedicated to eating every section of the road. Many people lined up there waiting for food to be distributed. I feel like I'm just a little stronger than a beggar. As for so-called pleasure, there is no way to exist at all. The explanation given by the Black Veil Girl is also very simple. Evil people are also divided into 3, 6, and 9 categories. Only truly powerful evil people can enjoy themselves in this fallen paradise. As for useless waste, they have no right to enjoy it. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Preparation for the Hell Killing Ground. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Preparation for the Hell Killing Ground. The city was even larger than Sikhen had imagined, and after walking for more than half an hour, Sikhen gained some understanding of the outer city. The black veil girl had already arrived at a city wall with her. Compared to the exterior walls of the capital of slaughter, this city wall is not high and its highest point is only about 10 meters. It is obvious that behind this city wall, there is the inner city of the capital of slaughter. The city gate opened wide and there were no guards present. The black-veiled girl softly introduced to Sikhen, there is no need for guards in the inner city. People from the outer city can enter at any time as long as they have the courage. Of course, when they enter, they must also bear the unknown number of the inner world. Of course, you are a noble hunter. Here, only you have the right to judge them, and there is no reason for them to harm you. Without hesitation, Sikhen and the black veil girl stepped into the inner city together. Just as soon as he entered the inner city, Sikhen immediately felt a completely different atmosphere from the outer city. If the outer city is a dead and indifferent world, so, the inner city is a luxurious and crazy world, where various colorful lights can be seen everywhere. The number of people in the inner city is much larger than that in the outer city, which is completely different from the quietness of the outer city. The inner city is extremely chaotic. Everywhere there were excited laughter, painful cries, and many chilling sounds. Looking around, Sikhen wished he could pay a lot of money for a pair of eyes that had not seen these scenes. The corrupt people here almost committed all the criminal laws of the heavenly dynasty. Although he hasn't eaten yet after coming to this world, Sikhen still almost vomited a few times. The black veil girl noticed Sikhen's abnormality and said, "What's wrong with you?" "It's nothing." Sikhen lowered her eyes, concealing the fear and disgust in her eyes. She couldn't let anyone see that she was afraid. "Let's go straight to the Hell's Killing Ground. After watching it, I have to eat. If I'm hungry for too long, my stomach will feel uncomfortable." "No problem, please follow me." At this moment, Sikhen suddenly felt a cold breath rushing towards her from the slanted thorn. After awakening her martial soul, her spiritual strength and reaction sensitivity also improved a lot. She quickly took a step back, her body half turned and sank, and the funeral appeared in her hand in an instant. With a crisp clang, the handle of the one burial blade happened to block a cold and shiny curved sword. The person who attacked Sikhen was a thin and small man in black. He missed a single blow and immediately flew back to escape. Ha! Sikhen was both surprised and angry. Didn't she agree that she wouldn't be attacked on the road? The girl in the black veil immediately knelt down on one knee upon seeing the situation, with an uncontrollable tone of panic. "Dear hunter, I didn't expect anyone else to attack you when I was present. This was my negligence, please forgive me." "Let's not do it again," said Sikhen coldly. "Yes." The black veil girl was granted amnesty. "Please rest assured that I will immediately announce your identity to all members of the capital of slaughter. The person who just attacked you will also pay the price of their lives." "He will do it." The shape of the funeral in Si Chen's hand suddenly changed, and the slender sickle was thrown out by her. One end of the blade handle became a chain, activating the Lingxue Gu chain routine of Chongyun chain. In addition to standing up, her move was also intended to test the effectiveness of Lingxue's martial arts in real life. The most suitable move at the moment is Iron Horse Ice River, which can throw the linked target to the other side of herself and cause a lot of damage, and the target cannot use the move during the throwing process. The chain blade pierced through the chest, and the attacker only had time to look down at the sharp weapon emerging from the chest, followed by a whirlwind. Sikhen forcefully pulled back the chain, and as it was pulled back, the attacker was fiercely smashed in front of the black veil girl. Fresh blood splattered with her veil, but she dared not even reach out to wipe it. The warning is self-evident. Before this, Sikhen had only killed rabbits and frogs. Although he had dissected the human body, he had killed them for the first time. After all, the rule of law in the Chinese society was still very reliable, and the probability of being attacked and killed on the road was similar to the probability of winning the first prize in the lottery. This. The black veil girl looked incredulously at the chain blade in Si Chen's hand. This is my own weapon, said Sikhen, looking down at the black veil girl from a high position. Do we still need to use the divine weapon bestowed by our god to deal with this kind of minion? Of course not. Get up and lead the way. Sikhen withdrew the martial soul chain blade. The black gauze girl dared not delay any longer and hurriedly got up, leading Si Chen to a special building. The building is presented as a circular shape, more precisely a non-dot standard cone, with the largest area below and narrowing as it moves upwards. At a height of about 30 meters from the ground, the same diameter was maintained and extended upwards until 50 meters. The area of this hellish killing ground is indeed quite large, and the black buildings give a very oppressive feeling. The girl in the black veil introduced to Sikhen that the location of this hellish killing ground is the center of the entire killing capital. It is evident how important its position is in the capital of slaughter. What conditions need to be met to enter and observe the battle? Asked Sikhen. The girl in the black veil said, the qualification to watch the game is to contribute a cup of Bloody Mary. It can be your own, or someone else's. As long as you don't feel tired, you can watch it continuously after entering. The game is ongoing. As long as someone signs up and gathers 10 people, you can start the game. Do I also need to pay? Sikhen planned to go back and see if the body of the raider was still in place, and if so, he should be able to get a Bloody Mary. No need. You're a VIP, you don't need to pay. The black veil girl hurriedly said. The interior of the hell-killing field looks even more rudimentary than outside. There is no isolation, and the periphery is a circle of stands extending upwards. Below is a huge open field with a diameter of over 100 square meters. At this time, there were not many spectators, and less than 20% of them sat on the venue of Noada. Inside the venue, screams of agony were constantly ringing, with a total of 10 people and 7 corpses already present. Only the last 3 people are fighting for survival. Sikhen endured discomfort and sat quietly in the stands watching the gu-raising style fighting below. Although she didn't want to delay here for even a day, she hadn't fully mastered the martial arts routines of Lingxue and the soul skills of Shura blood sword, and her combat experience was even less. Therefore, Sikhen decided to wait until she could apply her mastered moves to the level of proficiency before challenging the hell-killing field. At the same time, the Black Veil Girl announced the arrival of the Heavenly God Hunter to the entire city of Slaughter and ordered no one to attack the Heavenly God Hunter. But it also revealed that the God of Heaven Hunter may participate in the competition of the Hell Slayer, and attacks on the Hunter are not allowed before and after the competition. After watching for a week, Sikhen found out she had taken a big advantage. All the fallen players could only attack her during the competition, which meant she had no worries during her normal time and after the competition. Because in this place, what is truly terrifying is not the enemies in the hellish killing ground, but rather the constant sneak attacks that one must face at their weakest point after the game. The rules set by the King of Slaughter for himself solved this problem very well. And the fallen people in the capital of Slaughter are also curious about the true face of the so-called divine hunters, and even more arrogant fallen people threaten to kill the gods in the competition. But Sikhen didn't show up in the competition for half a month, which made most of the fallen speculate whether the mysterious god hunter had already begun to fear battle. As a member of the Heavenly Dynasty, Sikhen always remembers the guiding ideology of combat proposed by his instructor. Do not engage in unprepared battles, do not engage in uncertain battles, strive to be prepared in every battle, and strive to have victory in the comparison of enemy and friendly conditions. It was not until he had honed his existing martial arts routines and soul skills in the training venue prepared by the Black Maiden that Sikhen decided to participate in the first Hell Slaughter competition. There are 4 types of martial arts routines in Lingxue Pavilion. Blade technique, cutting water blade. A melee combat routine in which the chain blade contracts to a short soldier form, with the effect of controlling and approaching the target. Hidden thunder whip. A mid-range combat routine where the chain blade extends into the form of a soft whip. Chain-based routine, Chongyun chain. A combat routine where the chain blade is thrown out in the form of a chain and linked to the target. In this routine, one-handed and two-handed postures can be flexibly switched, and control and burst coexist. Exclusive routine, Shanhe Ling. An independent routine evolved from the assassination technique of Lingxue Pavilion, characterized by disguised body shape and agility, creating the maximum output environment for oneself while balancing survival. Only some skills that enhance and reduce damage cannot be used. Sikhen speculates that these skills may require adding soul rings to the cultural burial before they can be used. However, according to her understanding, only soul beasts appear in the Hell Road, and it is almost impossible to add soul rings to the cultural burial now. However, the sex likeness skills and body methods can be used, which has relieved her mood a lot. And the first soul skill of Shura Blood Sword is Shura Slash. How did Shura tell her at that time? You don't need to worry about anything, just chop and it's done. Upon careful consideration, it is not unreasonable for this divine king to keep people away from him. But it's not very realistic to think about using a height of over 1 meter to wield a 2-meter sword, is it? When Sikhen raised this point, Shura waved his hand and added a passive skill to the Shura Blood Sword. The Imperial Sword. Sikhen could control the size of the Shura Blood Sword as he pleased, or use it as an exclusive floating seat for transportation, just like Shura. Even Tang San, who had passed the 8th level exam, did not receive this treatment. Sikhen was so moved that he wanted to inherit the throne and retire for Shura. Could you please register for me? I want to participate in the next competition. Sikhen summoned the Black Veil Girl and handed her identity card. Yes, the Black Veil Girl respectfully took Sikhen's identity card. Sikhen's journey of slaughter began on this day. In this world full of blood and corruption, she not only wants to win one victory after another, but also must live to walk out and finally ascend to the throne. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Killing Field Little Wild Boar. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 Killing Field Little Wild Boar. When the scumbag was 3 years old, Sikhen also played 2v2, 3v3, and 5v5 at the famous sword competition. This was the first time she had participated in this kind of gu-raising competition, and 10 people entered the killing ground in each group. No matter what method is used, as long as one can come out alive in the end, there is only one person in each group who can come out alive. 10 saves 1, and Sikhen still has a great advantage in using soul skills. Moreover, she must not stop here. There are still many interesting places waiting for her to explore in Douluo continent. In the first few matches, Sikhen's young appearance made her a target of criticism, and the persimmon picked the soft pinch, which applies everywhere. She was also happy to pretend to be a pig and eat tigers, but the moment those ferocious tigers spoke up, she realized that what she wanted to eat was not a weak piglet, but a little wild boar from Lingxue. With the martial arts routines of Lingxue and the ability to transform multiple forms of chain blade martial souls when used, as well as the basic qualities of Sikhen as a medical student, over the course of a month, most of them are fatal with just one strike, which can be called Gaga indiscriminate killing. She didn't even use the second chain blade, let alone the second martial soul bestowed upon her by Shura. The black gauze girl sat in the stands, watching every game of Sikhen without falling to the ground, and then followed him closely after the game to prevent some short-sighted degenerates from trying to attack him. After the last attack, the Black Veil Girl had already been severely punished by the King of Slaughter, and she did not want to make the King of Slaughter unhappy again due to her poor performance. Because of this, the Fallen became aware of Sichen's identity as a divine hunter. It seems that the pig can't continue to dress up, so Sichen decided not to. After tearing off her disguise, a faint bloody aura was released from her entire body. In just 6 months, she has won more than 70 games. As the number of victories increased, she learned another rule. That is to say, in each new game, the number of times one's opponent participates in the Hell's Killing game cannot be less than 5 times, unless everyone exceeds this number. Until now, no one has been able to make her use the Shura sword, and the strongest fallen one has only changed her chain blade from single-wielded to double-wielded. Unless participating in a killing competition, she hardly ever appears in any other part of the city, nor does she engage in mass killings outside the hellish slaughterhouse, except for executing the fallen ones who attacked her on the first day. And the Black Veil Girl always accompanied her, and other corrupt people dared not easily approach her. Anyone who comes to the capital of slaughter, struggling on the brink of death every day, will fall with it, because under this immense pressure, everyone needs ways to relieve it. However, Sichen did not. After the battle, she would always return to the residence arranged by the King of Slaughter for her to practice. Leaving her residence, her only destination is the Hell's Killing ground. I don't know how many fallen people want to please this heavenly god hunter, but they have no way to start. They want to cater to their preferences but are worried about causing the little killing god to be unhappy and instead causing trouble. Killing did not cause a psychological burden for Sichen. Before getting used to it, she repeatedly gave herself psychological counseling, telling herself that it was the only way to survive, and those people deserved to die. At the same time, Sichen also noticed that almost 10 or more corrupt individuals who had won in the killing capital would often drink blood from unknown sources, which seemed to have become a habit of the strong in the killing capital. This made her feel nauseous. Blood can be said to be a gathering place for metabolic waste, and many diseases are also transmitted through blood. The degree of dirtiness can be imagined, and in her opinion, these corrupt people are all dying. If it weren't for the necessity of killing, she wouldn't even want to touch their blood. As Sichen's victories increased, fewer and fewer people dared to participate in the killing competition when she participated. It often takes a few days to gather 10 people, and it's still the case that the Hell's Killing ground doesn't disclose the specific time she will participate in the competition beforehand. More people choose to survive with their accumulated matches, and those who run out of matches also contribute their blood to survive. After all, compared to dying immediately, surviving is definitely the choice of most people. Sichen was not in a hurry, but the King of Slaughter couldn't sit still. He longed for Sichen to quickly finish his journey to hell and go out to help him solve the root cause of the destruction of the capital of slaughter. Compared to when she first came here, Sichen, apart from becoming more distant and unapproachable, did not suffer from the influence of murderous aura on her own mind like other fallen individuals, showing a bloodthirsty mood. This was thanks to the protection of Shura's divine power for herself. At this time, the 9 people who entered the field together with Sichen couldn't have won just 5 games behind her, because her winning games are already leading too much. The 9 people who walked into the hellish killing ground with Sichen all showed varying degrees of fear. When they were locked up in the ground, they almost immediately surrounded Sichen in the center. Because they know that if they don't kill her, none of them can live. Roaring and howling, 9 voices sounded almost simultaneously from all 9 directions around Sichen. The 9 opponents simultaneously pounced on Sichen. Sichen had long been accustomed to the mournful cries of wild beasts before their death, and this time was no exception. Sichen's figure moved, and 9 people rushed towards her from 9 different directions without disturbing her mood at all. The figure flickered like an illusion, and in an instant, Sichen's body had already flashed in front of an opponent who had been trembling before. The next moment, the weapon in that person's hand was already entangled by the chain blade and inserted into another person's neck, while he himself was also cut off by the sickle in Sichen's hand. Sichen wrapped a chain blade around the waist of one of the survivors, swinging him towards the other opponents while pulling hard. The sharp chain blade instantly twisted the person's body in half, and warm blood spilled on their faces, greatly arousing their deep fear. The piercing sound of breaking through the air echoed, and screams of agony echoed one after another. After the 71st match, Sikhen took the towel handed to her by the Black Veil girl and carefully wiped off the blood stains on her face and body. "I want to see the King of Slaughter." Sikhen made a request to the girl in the black veil. She squatted for a few days for the 71st game, and not many people dared to participate recently. She saw that the number of applicants had just reached 9 when the girl in the black veil helped her register and won a game. Upon hearing this, the black-veiled girl immediately led Sikhen to the King of Slaughter, not daring to neglect him at all. "My esteemed guest, long time no see. Why did you come today?" The King of Slaughter nodded to Sikhen in greeting. Nature came for the purpose of the Hell's killing ground. Sitting opposite the King of Slaughters, Sikhen relaxed her posture. She had become accustomed to facing the King of Slaughters, so she appeared calm at all. "The King of Slaughter, do you know how many days I squatted tirelessly in this 71st game to gather all the players?" Sikhen yawned slightly. "I guess I'll have to wait a long time for the next game. This situation is by no means what the King of Slaughter wants to see, but rules are rules, and he cannot force the fallen to the next game." The King of Slaughter was also very angry. "Why are everyone so afraid of death? I have a solution, just need the King of Killing to cooperate with me." Sikhen had already figured out how to deal with this situation. "What method?" the King of Slaughter quickly asked. "Although people may cherish their lives, there must be brave men under heavy rewards. I would like to ask the King of Slaughter to issue a reward. As long as someone can defeat me in the underworld killing ground, they can obtain permanent residency in the capital of Slaughter." Si Chin used his own life as a bait, and I believe no one among the fallen will not be tempted. Every contestant who comes here, besides the right to continue surviving in the city of Slaughter, looks forward to 100 victories the most. With the title of 100 championships, one can permanently become a resident of the capital of Slaughter. Apart from being unable to leave here, he holds immense authority and can even become a guest of the King of Slaughter. The blood-red gaze drifted in the air and then fell on Sichin's face, making it clear that the King of Killing was very tempted by her proposal. "Also, I hope that other degenerates who have won more than 50 games can also participate in it, can they?" Sikhen took the opportunity to make this request, and in order to gather enough people, she also fought hard. One of the rules of Hell's killing ground is that fallen players with over 50 victories will not meet in the same game. And this time, as it concerns the survival of the capital of Slaughter, the King of Slaughter is willing to make an exception for Sikhen. "How much confidence do you have in winning?" asked the King of Slaughter. "Please wait and see," said Sikhen before leaving. When the King of Slaughter released this news, the entire city of Slaughter was boiling. As long as they could kill the God Hunter in the Hell Slaughter field, they could directly receive the same reward as the champion. It has to be said that this reward is too tempting. The passionate fallen ones were driven by profit and joined the Hell Slaughter field competition again. Sikhen fell into a bitter battle when he encountered the fallen one who had won more than 50 battles. Just when everyone thought that the legend of the hunter was about to come to an end, it was the fallen one who ended it. A white-haired girl holding a giant sword stood on the field, unreservedly releasing a terrifying and bloody killing aura throughout her body. Standing in front of her was a headless corpse, holding a broken sword in her hand. It was obvious that the other party had been killed by the owl's head before they could react. The slashing strike from Sikhen even cut off the other party's weapons. The almost substantial murderous aura formed a huge vortex in the air, and around the large venue, a large number of fallen spectators released a massive murderous aura on her, causing her to remain silent. The fallen spectators on the stands were all anxious and uneasy, as it turned out that the Divine Hunter had not exerted all their strength in the competition before. At this moment, they realized that the reward issued by the King of Slaughter was impossible to complete. But at the same time, they also breathed a sigh of relief. This was the 100th game completed by Sikhen, and they no longer had to worry about encountering her in the Hell's killing ground. The name of the god of heaven hunter is like a symbol of death. Killing energy and strength may not be directly proportional, but at this moment, Sikhen is an opponent that no one in the capital of slaughter wants to face. Congratulations, respected hunter. A deep and sharp voice suddenly came from all directions. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Another village with hidden willows and bright flowers. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Another village with hidden willows and bright flowers. Sikhen raised his head and looked towards the crimson figure in mid-air. The atmosphere in the hellish killing ground suddenly rose to the extreme, and the fallen were all shouting the name of the King of Slaughter. The gaze of the King of Slaughter fell on the observation deck of the Hell Slaughter field. I am delighted to witness the birth of a new slaughterhouse powerhouse today. 100 victories that have not appeared in more than a decade have been demonstrated in this young child. With her powerful strength and terrifying killing spirit, she has made you tremble, right? My people. Yes, 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 the King of Slaughter seems to have a unique charm that makes all fallen people feel an almost insane worship upon seeing him. A thick red mist was suddenly released from the King of Slaughter, and the massive aura forced Sikhen to release the killing energy of the Shura sword in order to withstand it. The King of Slaughter does not release a murderous aura, but an extremely evil aura that makes the bone marrow stiff and cold. The evil and cold red ripples slowly spread, and in just a few blinks, they had already spread to the entire scene. Then the degenerates present crazily tore at their bodies like addicts, only to stop at the end of their lives. Despite experiencing countless killings in this city of slaughter, Sichen's face turned pale in the face of the terrifying situation of large-scale self-inflicted blood sacrifice in front of him. Blood splattered onto the ground and began to condense. A large amount of blood flowed like small streams down the inconspicuous small pipes below the audience towards the central venue of the slaughterhouse. Clearly visible, countless winding red liquids flowed into the venue like small snakes. Being able to become a sacrifice that opens the path of hell is their glory, said the King of Slaughter in a low voice. At this moment, the screams had gradually ceased, except for Sikhen and the King of Slaughter. There are no more living people here. The blood flow entered the field and did not spread in a straight line. At some point, grooves appeared on the ground, and blood flowed into them. Gradually, a huge blood-red bat pattern converged on the ground. Suddenly, the bat's eyes lit up, and a huge red light rushed up into the sky, instantly sweeping Sichen's body inside. Everything around became blurred, with only the low and sharp voice of the King of Slaughter echoing in his ears. Wishing you a prosperous military career, don't forget our agreement. I don't know how long it took, but with a violent shock, all feelings returned and the surrounding blood gradually faded away. When Sikhen opened his eyes again, he found himself on a circular platform. Everything around presented a faint blood-red color, and beyond the circular platform with a diameter of 5 meters under my feet, there was a vast abyss. In addition, a narrow path less than half a foot wide that can only accommodate both feet standing at the same time leads to the unknown darkness, and this is also the only path to the outside world on her platform. It's not a big problem. Sikhen decisively summoned the Shura sword. Although Lingxue's lightness skills can also be used, the killing energy and super divine weapons pressure brought by the Shura sword can provide more protection. At this moment, the Shura sword also returned to its original form, and Sichen's petite body sat on the sword, using his mind to control the Shura sword to move forward. With the intimidation of the Shura sword, Sikhen easily broke through the encirclement of the blood bat, and even the dark gold three-headed bat king was scared away by the aura of the Shura sword. After flying the imperial sword for a period of time, Sikhen judged that the hell road should be spiraling upwards, but its curvature was not large, so it was not easy to detect. After making a judgment, Sikhen held down the sword without hesitation, injected soul power, and drove the Shura sword to accelerate its speed. If I remember correctly, there is still 10 scorching sun snakes waiting for me ahead. As expected, a rustling sound came from ahead. Sikhen did not stop the Shura blood sword, but instead urged it to fly forward faster. She had already seen those fiery red eyes. It is not clear how huge its body is, but through simple observation, it can be found that the snake's entire body is entangled in a narrow path. On the head and back of this snake, there are a total of 9 protrusions, each resembling a bright red mushroom, as if blood is flowing inside. The abdomen of this snake is particularly huge, protruding on narrow roads, and its body length exceeds at least 10 meters. The eyes of a person and a snake met, and the snake's head, which was crawling on the narrow road, slowly raised. A pair of golden red eyes suddenly became as bright as a lantern. Sikhen jumped down from the sword body, grabbed the handle of the Shura sword in the air, injected half of his soul power, and used inertia to throw the Shura sword, with the blade pointing straight at the heads of 10 blazing sun snakes. A eerie scene appeared, and the 10 blazing sun snakes did not collide with the Shura sword. After all, the sharpness of the supernatural artifact was not easily met. As the Shura sword was about to approach it, it bowed and fell from the narrow path into the nearby abyss. Just as the Shura sword had just swept away from where its body was in front of it, its head wrapped around the narrow path again, and its body at the back repeated the same process, evading Sichen's desperate attack. Surprisingly, Sikhen could see full provocation from the pupils of 10 scorching sun snakes. It seems that this beast is also quite human. After 10 scorching sun snakes dodged this blow, their huge bodies accelerated in an instant and rushed toward Sikhen. Sikhen stood motionless on the narrow road, as if scared out of his wits. Just as the giant snake opened its bloody jaws and prepared to swallow her in one gulp, it abruptly stopped. The huge Shura sword went back and forth, piercing through the heads of 10 blazing sun snakes and nailing them to the narrow path. The giant snake struggled incessantly, but what pinned it down was a supernatural artifact. Its vitality was constantly eroded by the killing energy released by the Shura sword. Before long, its massive body turned into tiny pieces of powder and dissipated, leaving only a golden red light suspended in front of Sichen. Sikhen raised her hand and put it into the saving soul guide bracelet. This bracelet was still the loot she had snatched from the fallen in the hellish killing ground. Although the space was only 1 cubic meter, it was still enough. I'm really sorry, Tang San. I took one of your chances. This inner pill can disable any snake venom and counter all snakes, so that you can use it to exchange the ice and fire 2 eyes with Douluo. Sikhen curled his lips, feeling much happier. Sikhen briefly paused and rested for a while, and when his soul power recovered to 70.8%, he regained control of the Shura sword and continued to fly forward. Half an hour later, Sikhen finally saw the exit. Fortunately, she was not affected by the murderous aura except for being blocked by 10 blazing sun snakes for a while, which made the journey relatively easy for her. This made her grateful from the bottom of her heart for the water that Shura had given her. She didn't even have to walk on her own during this journey of hell, flying with her Shura sword all the way. The exit was clearly visible, with white light condensed into an oval-shaped light curtain, which was also the end of Sichen's trip. The killing energy around her body seemed to be pulled by a special force. Without hesitation, Sikhen rushed towards the exit. She didn't look back at the path of hell she had walked. There was no need to look back, even though it was an experience she would never forget in her life. At the moment of stepping into the light curtain, Sikhen once again saw Shura in the spiritual sea. Well done, my divine choice. Shura's voice remained cold, but it was not difficult to hear the joy in his tone. Shura took the first exam in the 9th exam, walked out of hell, passed. The lifespan of the first soul ring has been increased to 10,000 years. Sichen's tense spirit completely relaxed. She placed the Shura sword horizontally in front of Shura, lifted her chin, and said, "Put on the ring." Shura silently took the Shura sword and raised his hand to attach the second black soul ring. By the way, Sikhen looked at the two eternal soul rings attached to the sword for a while. If I add soul rings to my first martial soul now, can I also start from the eternal? That's right. Shura nodded. You don't have to worry about the so-called twin martial souls not being able to attach soul rings at the same time. Thank you very much, I will continue to work hard. Sikhen retrieved the Shura sword from Shura's hand. Just understand, I won't say much about anything else. I have another question. Sikhen suddenly remembered something. Let's talk. Shura was in a good mood and didn't mind chatting more with Sikhen. Just. Sikhen pondered his words. Have you been following me all along? That's natural. Shura was afraid that Sikhen would die before he succeeded in his apprenticeship. Do I also watch when I take a shower and use the restroom? Sichen's face suddenly became very ugly. I didn't expect Shura's face to be even worse than hers. Bold. I am the supreme god. I am also the law enforcement god of the divine realm. How could there be such peeping behavior? That's good. Sikhen let go of his worries and looked at Shura sincerely. Please forgive me, my god. I knew my god was pure and upright, and would never do dirty things that shameless little people would do. You. Shura was out of words. Someone is approaching you, and I can feel the aura of an angel god. You should do it yourself. Shura said before leaving. Wait, how is your relationship? Sikhen quickly asked. Not bad, our functions are similar. Shura Qi returns to Qi, but this divine selection was also chosen by oneself. You don't have to worry too much, only the descendants of the angel god have come. As for the angel god, he should have already left the divine realm. Okay, everyone is part of the anti-gang and anti-evil work group, should we be able to get along well? Douluo Qiandaoliu in the Chamber of Secrets should have received his boxed meal now without any accidents. The person who came should be Qiandaoliu. Sikhen quickly came to a conclusion. But who could tell her, when she opened her eyes, why did she see a soft, cute, and twinkling golden-haired little loli? End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Return to the Human World. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7 Return to the Human World. Golden-haired little loli met Sichen's eyes like this, her ice-blue cat pupils exuding an indescribable murderous aura, which frightened her to take a few steps back. 3 pairs of huge wings spread out from behind her, and the yellow, and purple soul rings rose from her feet. The wings trembled, and the pale golden feathers drifted down, gradually converging in Sichen's eyes. Without any reason, tears welled up in Sichen's eyes in an instant, unable to stop no matter what. Perhaps it was the first time he had seen light in this world, or perhaps he cried with joy for finally escaping hell. Golden-haired little loli stood in place dumbfounded by the sudden change in Sichen, until another magnetic voice rang out. Xiaoxue, what's wrong? As soon as these words were spoken, Sikhen knew that the two of them from the angel family had arrived. Why hasn't Renxue been undercover in the Qiandao Empire at this time? Why did Qiandaoliu come about? She propped herself up and sat up, vigilantly observing the grandfather and grandson standing not far away. But tears still couldn't stop falling, which made her image look completely devoid of killing power. Child, don't cry. Why are you here alone? Where is your family? Qiandaoliu calmly pulled Renxue behind her and then squatted in front of Sichen to wipe away her tears. We're not bad people, we just passed by here and saw you lying on the ground alone, that's why we came to take a look. I don't know, said Sikhen softly, not believing that Qiandaoliu could sneak his granddaughter over here for a walk. This is my first time outside. Qiandaoliu was greatly surprised. Such a young child, shouldn't he have come out of the capital of slaughter? Not long ago, he sensed a divine aura appearing in the killing capital, thinking that another killing god had emerged. In order to ensure the safety of the martial soul hall, he must come and take a look. It would be even better if he could recruit the martial soul hall. But his son Qiang Sunji had just been killed by Bibidong, and he didn't even leave a body. Bibidong even threatened to kill Renxue together, which scared Qiandaoliu to the point where he wanted to bring Renxue everywhere. This is why Qiandaoliu appeared on the outskirts of the capital of slaughter with Renxue. So, where did you come from? Qiandaoliu asked cautiously. The capital of slaughter, said Sikhen with a pretense of innocence. Qiandaoliu was surprised. Did this child start practicing from the womb? He gradually released the purification ability inherent in the angel martial soul, and Sikhen did not dislike the holy light of the angel martial soul. Instead, he felt very comfortable, as if that uncomfortable feeling had been diluted a lot. Thank you, I feel much better now. Sikhen thanked Qiandaoliu very seriously, although he didn't know what the other party's purpose was, he helped himself after all. Qiandaoliu smiled kindly at Si Chen and reached out to pull him up. He appeared calm on the surface, but his heart was already full of turmoil. The child's bone age showed that she was not yet 7 years old. What kind of demon should it be to be able to walk out of hell at this age? Can you say Qiandaoliu thought of a possibility, which is divine selection? If it is true that he started the divine examination at the age of 6, he would bring this child into the martial soul hall to personally teach him, and he would definitely be able to help Xiaoxue with the divine examination in the future. Child, if you really don't have a place to go, why don't you come back to the martial soul hall with me? Qiandaoliu's smile grew stronger, or you can be my granddaughter's companion. That's right. Renxue leaned out from behind Qiandaoliu. I'm too bored at home, and there aren't many people to play with me. Can you come home with me? If it was 1,000 streams, Sikhen would have to consider it, but a blonde little loli blinked her starry eyes and grabbed her hand, shaking and acting coquettishly. Angel, take me away. Sikhen cried out in a low voice. So the grandfather and grandson of the angel family smoothly took their spoils of war and embarked on the road back to the martial soul city. Due to Renxue's previous stay in the martial soul city, this trip to the wilderness in the far west can be considered her first time on a long journey. On the way back, she pulled on Si Chen like a cheerful bird and chattered, claiming to provide him with compulsory education as a soul master. Qiandaoliu doted on her and added some missing parts for her. Sikhen didn't feel annoyed, but instead felt that Renxue was too cute. He couldn't help but want to hear her say a few more words. After all, this kind of fairy music can't be heard in the capital of slaughter. Qiandaoliu also allowed Renxue and Si Chen to drag and talk until Renxue asked Si Chen about the awakening of his martial soul. Have you awakened your martial soul in the morning? Awakened. What is your martial soul, Chen? Tell sister. Sister, my martial soul is a 6-winged angel, isn't it very beautiful? Renxue curiously looked at Si Chen's blue cat pupils and said, it shouldn't be a cat, right? Chen's eyes are really beautiful. Sister Xiaoxue, your eyes are also very beautiful, with little stars inside. Sikhen felt from the bottom of his heart that Renxue's starry purple eyes were very stunning. Let me see your martial soul, okay? Renxue chased after him with victory, feeling ecstatic in his heart. Finally, he asked the point, and he was also curious about what Sichen's martial soul was. Which one do you want to see first? What are you saying? Grandpa and grandson asked in unison. I have 2 martial souls, said Sikhen calmly. Since she had decided to join the martial soul hall, she had no intention of hiding them in front of Qiandaoliu. Looking at the stunned expressions of the grandfather and grandson, Sikhen began to reflect on whether he had acted too forcefully. Then Renxue blinked her starry eyes and approached Si Chen. Let me see. Let me see. Si Chen's mind twitched, and a sickle-shaped chain blade appeared in her hand. As she still held a chain blade in her left hand, Qiandaoliu thought that her twin martial souls could be used at the same time. These two are together. Sikhen showed the usage of the chain blade to his grandfather and grandson. As soon as Qiandaoliu saw the white pattern on the blade, he realized that it was very likely an embodiment of the god of killing realm. Morning, try to feel those white lines, said Qiandaoliu. Those patterns look like the blood patterns on the ground of the Hell Slayer when Hell Road is activated, but they are much smaller. Sikhen also summoned a cultural burial for the first time after leaving the capital of slaughter. As she tried to feel the white patterns, a surging white light quietly filled the air. The white light was released from the chain blade, but soon it turned colorless, and Sichen's perception of the surrounding world immediately became different. Indeed, it is the realm of killing gods. Qiandaoliu released the angelic realm to offset the pressure brought by the realm of killing gods. So impressive, I don't have a field yet. Renxue said enviously. As long as you practice well, there will be some in the future, Qiandaoliu doted on her head. What is the other martial soul of Qianchen? Renxue's attention was quickly diverted. It's a sword. Sikhen withdrew the chain blade and summoned the Shura sword. The extremely fierce killing aura forced Qiandaoliu to avoid its sharpness, and what shocked him even more was that the two soul rings on the body of the giant sword were both black. Renxue was so shocked that she couldn't speak. She didn't even have a black soul ring. Where did this come from? Qiandaoliu remembers that there shouldn't be any soul beasts in the capital of slaughter. Could it be that they were hunted in the path of hell? And how could anyone absorb soul rings that have been around for over 10,000 years from the beginning? This is simply unheard of in the history of Douluo continent. The question was given by Shura God, and Sikhen truthfully reported it. Gone. Qiandaoliu was shocked beyond measure. It was indeed a divine choice, but it was still a divine choice that passed the first level exam. However, Qiandaoliu soon adjusted his mood and began to further fool. Qianchen, Xiaoxue has been lonely since childhood, and she has no brother or sisters to talk with. Would you like to be her sister? Sikhen Renxue. Sikhen. 6, but it's not impossible either. Renxue. I want to be my sister now. Qiandaoliu. Picking up a granddaughter for nothing, earned it. From the results, it can be said that everyone is happy. It was precisely because of Sichen's arrival that Renxue decided to postpone her time as an undercover agent in the Qiando Empire. As she herself said, Qiando can go anytime, and an undercover agent's sister is not as important. Why don't Xiaoxue go? Qiandaoliu asked tentatively. I'm considering. Renxue's determination to go undercover in the Qiando Empire was shaken. Qiandaoliu took the opportunity and said, you see, Chen just had a sister, and her sister is leaving her again to go to the Qiando Empire. How sad she must be. Sikhen silently turned his head away, actually not feeling too sad. He just felt that the Qiando royal family was not worth Renxue's effort to go undercover. Chen, do you think so? Qiandaoliu kept winking at Chen. Grandpa Qian is right, Sister Xiaoxue, why don't you go to the Heavenly Dou Empire? Sikhen learned to be coquettish like Renxue before, using his own way to treat him. Besides, isn't it good for us to practice together? As long as we can reach level 100 to become gods, we can just level up and push. When the time comes, you can push the Heavenly Dou and I will fight the Star Luo, and we can unify the continent. Sikhen said earnestly, holding his chin, and Qiandaoliu nodded frequently. Well said. Qiandaoliu couldn't help but applaud. Chen was right, strength is the hard truth. The plan to steal the country will only make you delay your cultivation, Xiaoxue. We won't do this kind of sacrificing our resources for the end. But Renxue hesitated when she thought about her relationship with Bibi Dong. Grandpa doesn't force you either, it's up to you to decide whether to go or not. Qiandaoliu couldn't bear to put Renxue in a dilemma, but during this time, you can play with Chen well, relax, and then consider going to Qiando. Okay. Renxue felt relieved and transformed back into the happy little angel. At this moment, Qiandaoliu suddenly remembered something. Only Bibidong knew the method to restrain the backlash of the twin martial souls. However, the relationship between Bibidong and the temple of worship can be said to be extremely tense. He could only advise Sikhen not to cultivate her chain blade martial soul for now to avoid causing backlash. However, my God said that he would only attach a soul ring to the Shura blood sword when I have completed one exam, said Sikhen in embarrassment. Can you tell me what the second exam is? Grandpa, can I help you? Qiandaoliu thought to himself. If one exam lasts for 10 years, wouldn't it be like being stuck in the same realm for 10 years? Kill the dark gold three-headed bat king on Hell Road without using the Shura blood sword. Qiandaoliu remained silent, he really couldn't help with this favor. It's okay, my God said that my first martial soul can also attach a soul ring. The two martial souls are independent of each other and will not cause backlash. And this good thing. Qiandaoliu was overjoyed, which meant he didn't have to look at Bibidong's face just to restrain his martial soul's backlash. Since that's the case, Grandpa will take you to obtain the soul ring for your first martial soul first, and then return to the martial soul city. Sikhen rejected Qiandaoliu's proposal, stating that he had not yet decided which type of soul beast to choose and wanted to first see which ones were available for selection. Besides, Sister Xiaoxue is almost reaching level 40. It's not too late for us to go together when she's about to hunt for soul rings. Renxue hugged Si Chen and gave him a fierce kiss. My sister is so considerate. Then she could come out and play again. Qiandaoliu means that the ancient books of the Martial Soul Hall can be easily searched by Si Chen, and even if he searches through the Star Do Forest, he will still search for his newly recognized precious granddaughter who is interested in soul beasts. End of this chapter. Chapter 8. Shocking Shrine. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Shocking Shrine. A few days later, Sikhen followed his newly adopted cheap grandfather and biological sister to the border of the Heavenly Do Empire and the Star Luo Empire. Chen, look. That's the Martial Soul City. Renxue excitedly pulled Sikhen forward. Sikhen took a deep breath. The visual shock brought to her by the Martial Soul City was something she couldn't feel outside the screen in the past. She is finally stepping into this holy land in the hearts of soul masters all over the continent today, located in the miracle city between the two empires of Qiando and Xingluo, and embarking on a brand new journey. The area of Wuhuan City is not large, but the city walls are definitely built according to the standard of the main city of the capital. The hexagonal city walls, which are up to 80 meters high, draw the outline of Wuhuan City around Liui Mountain. All those responsible for patrolling on the city wall are soul masters, wearing specialized costumes from the Martial Soul Hall. On each of the 6 city walls, there are huge reliefs that are identical to the Martial Soul Hall token that Renxue showed to Sikhen, symbolizing 6 powerful martial souls. The center of Wuhuan City is located on the mountainside of Liui Mountain, with 3 magnificent buildings. The Pope's Hall, the Elders' Hall, and the Douluo Hall. Overlooking the entire Wuhuan City and Douluo continent. That's the Douluo Hall, that's the Elder Hall, the place where Grandpa is guarding, and there's also the Papal Hall. Renxue introduced the 3 main halls to Sikhen like a book. I'll take you around when I go back. But let's not go to the Papal Palace, that woman is not an easy person to get along with. Renxue added with great enthusiasm. Sikhen pinched Renxue's palm as a gesture of comfort. She naturally knew about the relationship between Renxue and Bibidong, but at the moment, she had no way to help the mother and daughter unravel the knot. According to Renxue's introduction and Qiandaoliu's explanation, Sikhen learned that both the Papal Hall and the Elder Hall were guarded by 7 powerful individuals with the rank of Douluo. The 7 Douluo in the Papal Hall had an average strength of about 91 to 95, and there was also a worship hall above the Elder Hall, all of whom were between level 96 and level 99, which corresponded to the intelligence he had. Entering the martial soul city, the city gives a feeling of emptiness. There are not many pedestrians on the street, and there are few shops. These shops mostly operate items that soul masters need. Even soul guides for space storage are available for sale. After just glancing at it a little longer, Renxue said to her, "The quality of the products sold here is not very good. I'll pick a few good ones for you later, sister." "Thank you, sister first." Sikhen didn't show any courtesy to her either. Although she didn't have anything to show her now, she would keep this matter in mind. As for the inner elixir of the 10 blazing sun snakes, she will also use it to trade with Douluo. She will choose a pile of fairy grass from the ice and fire liangyi eyes to give Renxue as a snack. If there is a chance, she will grill the 100,000-year-old soft bone rabbit for Renxue to eat. How can she just eat vegetables? A combination of meat and vegetables is essential for balanced nutrition. Thinking of this, Sikhen swallowed his saliva first. Renxue noticed her abnormality and asked with concern, "Are you hungry in the morning? Let me take you to eat." "What do you want to eat?" Sikhen lowered his head and said awkwardly, "Roast the rabbit." "Okay. Let's have roasted rabbits." Renxue looked like she was spoiling her sister to the sky. After Qiandaoliu sent Renxue and Chen back to the area where the worshippers lived, they let them play on their own. This was his territory, and he was not worried that Bibidong would reach here, but he still reminded them not to run to other areas casually. After finishing these, Qiandaoliu rushed to the temple of worship to convene a meeting with the worshippers. At the center of the temple, under a huge 6-winged angel statue, 7 major offerings gather together. Qiandaoliu, who has always been serious in front of the worshippers, surprisingly wore a smile on his face, which puzzled the other 6 worshippers. "You should know, it is still less than a year since Qian Sun's illness was seriously injured and left untreated." Finally, on behalf of everyone, the 2 worshipped golden crocodile Douluo asked Qiandaoliu, "What have you gained from your trip to the far west?" "Not bad." Qiandaoliu's smile grew stronger, "I have another little granddaughter." The worshippers were shocked. Did the former pope play so extravagantly? "Do you have any illegitimate daughters?" "It's the granddaughter I've recognized," Qiandaoliu said with a black line on his face, interrupting the worshippers' brainpower. Now the worshippers are even more curious. If Qiandaoliu could take the initiative to recognize her as her granddaughter, she must have a natural talent. The 4 worshipped lion Douluo couldn't help but say, "Big brother, don't play tricks. Tell your brothers about the little girl you brought back." "Ahem." Qiandaoliu pretended to be serious, "I won't say much else. I'll summarize the following points. Under the age of 7, twin martial souls, one of which can be confirmed to be a divine level martial soul with soul power of level 25 and 2 eternal soul rings. "Big brother, how many years are you talking about?" 6 worshippers, Qianjun Douluo, quietly asked their twin brother, the demon-subduing Douluo. "It seems like 10,000 years." 5 offerings of Guanling Douluo rushed to answer, "Big brother, is he old and confused?" "I can hear it." 1,000 streams of pressure ignited the airway, and by the way, I'm very clear. "But, big brother, is that kind of soul ring configuration still human?" Demon-subduing Douluo said from everyone's heart. "Is it possible that it was a ferocious beast cultivated into an adult?" "The ferocious beast is much stronger than a typical 100,000-year soul beast," said the male lion Douluo. "Come on. 4th, come find me an example of whether a soul beast cultivates into an adult or a twin martial soul." Golden crocodile Douluo quickly caught the loophole in the speculation of the lion Douluo. "That's right. The second one is right." Qiandaoliu said confidently, "You go find a hammer soul beast for me, and I'll consider the possibility that my family's mourning is a soul beast." Qinghuan Douluo, who had not spoken for a long time, also spoke up at this moment. So, the martial soul of the child brought back by the elder brother belongs to the weapon martial soul. Since everyone is so curious, why don't we go take a look together? Qiandaoliu chuckled and patted his hands. If it weren't for Sichen's insistence on cooking, he would have wanted to take her to the elders' hall to show off. When Sichen was surrounded by worshippers descending from the sky, he was still holding a roasted rabbit leg in his mouth. It must be said that the chefs at the Martial Soul Hall were also very skilled, and the ingredients were carefully selected. Renxue, as the young master of the Martial Soul Hall, naturally has the best food and clothing. The meat she usually eats is selected from soul beasts of the century-old level. This time, the roasted rabbit meat is no exception. She specially selected the century-old soft bone rabbit, which is already tender and delicious. After being grilled, the surface of the soft bone rabbit is golden yellow, and the meat inside is tender and tender. With a bite, it is crispy and tender on the outside, crispy and refreshing on the thin parts, and soft and glutinous on the thick parts. Even Renxue, who is used to eating delicious delicacies, cannot help but praise it. When Sichen was in the capital of slaughter, although he didn't have to worry about food and drink, he still didn't receive such good treatment and didn't have the mood to taste it. Now that I've eaten such delicious roasted rabbit meat all at once, I'm so excited that I almost shed tears. As a result, a soft bone rabbit was surrounded by the highest combat power of the Martial Soul Hall before it could finish eating. Renxue grew up being pampered by her own grandfather and these worshippers, so she was not as nervous as Sichen and could still speak up to comfort him. Don't be afraid, younger sister. They are all our own grandfathers. What are they doing here? Sichen still didn't relax his guard. After all, the pressure of Super Douluo was still very frightening. I guess I came to grab some food. After all, today's roasted rabbit is so delicious. Renxue said naively. Do they often come to grab food? Asked Sichen cautiously. Do you know? Renxue thought seriously for a few seconds, but it's still the first time that people like today are so united. That's who came for me. Sichen quickly put down the roasted rabbit legs, wiped his hands clean, and sat upright waiting for instructions. Qiandaoliu walked up to Sichen and hugged her shoulder to announce her identity to the worshippers. Starting from today, Chen will be the second miss of the 1,000 families. Then Qiandaoliu carefully introduced each of the worshippers to Sichen, who bowed deeply to the worshippers. Hello seniors, my name is Sichen. I hope you can give me more guidance in the future. His polite demeanor left a great first impression on the worshippers. Guanling couldn't help but want to see Sichen's martial soul for a long time. He waved his hand and said, "Little guy, don't bother with those empty ones. Let's take a look at your eternal soul ring." Okay, Sichen nodded obediently. At the moment when the martial soul of Shura sword was activated, the cute and obedient girl like a kitten disappeared, replaced by the divine hunter from the capital of slaughter. Looking closely at her cold and flawless face, it is not difficult to imagine what kind of peerless beauty she will become in the future. However, the powerful sword in her hand is enough to make everyone feel fear from the bottom of their hearts and dare not have any thoughts about her. However, apart from Renxue, everyone present was Super Douluo and Extreme Douluo, and that level of killing energy was not a big deal to them. The two black soul rings that caught their attention the most were still the ones. Good guy. You really opened your eyes. Is this still human? Absolutely. Golden Crocodile Douluo woke up as if from a dream and patted his thigh. Big brother, immediately. We will immediately crown our second young lady as a saint, and nothing can make the little fox spirit collected by Bibidong ascend. He never liked Bibidong's attitude towards the altar. Grandpère is right, we must not let that little fox become a saint. Renxue also supported Jean Crocodile's proposal. Qiandaoliu looked at Sichen with a smile and said, "It depends on whether Chen wants to be. I don't want to. Sikhen decisively refused. After becoming a saint, she definitely wouldn't have that much freedom, and she didn't like to show herself openly. Since Chen doesn't like it, then it's not appropriate. Qiandaoliu didn't take it seriously. After all, strength is the hard truth, and in his opinion, the title of a saint is meaningless. After retrieving the Shura blood sword, Sikhen also released the chain blade martial soul under the urging of the light feather Douluo. She had to spend some time explaining to the worshippers that although the burial is like a sickle, it is still essentially a chain blade, and once again demonstrated the different uses of the chain blade, which caused a wave of praise from the worshippers. The future is promising. This is the unanimous evaluation of Sikhen by the worshippers. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. The Battle of Martial Souls. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. The Battle of Martial Souls. In the Council Hall of the Grand Papal Hall, the current Pope Bibidong, who was handling affairs, suddenly raised his head thoughtfully. Just as Sikhen released his martial soul, although Qiandaoliu intervened to ban the surrounding space, Bibidong, as the heir of the Rakshasa, still sensed the breath of Shura. Ghost, go and inquire if Qiandaoliu has brought anyone back this time. There was no one in the hall except Bibidong, which made her look like she was talking to the air. As soon as Bibidong finished speaking, a black figure appeared silently in front of her. Surprisingly, the figure could not be seen clearly. Yes, under the papal crown. The cold voice came from the voice of the shadow, and after saying this, the shadow disappeared into the hall again. Not long after, the ghost sorted out the collected information and submitted it to the Bibidong case. Bibidong glanced at the information presented by the ghost, and his eyebrows furrowed. It seemed that Qiandaoliu was very close to the little guy he brought back. The ghost only inquired about the other person's appearance and approximate age, and that little guy and Renxue were almost inseparable. It seems that she can only go there in person, but that bastard is also there. She doesn't want to see Renxue at all, and Bibidong is very conflicted. Should she go or not? On the side of the sacrificial hall, after being dragged around by Renxue for a few days, Sikhen plunged into the library and couldn't extricate himself from the ocean of knowledge. She must gather as much information as possible about this world, and the library of the Martial Soul Hall is undoubtedly the best place to go. Renxue didn't like to stay in the library. She suddenly remembered that she had promised to send several storage soul guides to Sikhen a few days ago, and the attendant came to report that the several storage soul guides she wanted had been delivered to her dormitory. She instructed Sikhen to stay in the library and not run around, so she hurriedly ran to retrieve the storage soul guides. Faced with a plethora of books, Sikhen didn't know where to start for a moment. She happened to need to hunt for the first and second soul rings, so let's start with the Soul Beast Illustrated. She is quite interested in these soul beasts. As for the method of cultivating martial souls, just ask Qiandaoliu directly. With this in mind, Sikhen jumped onto the dedicated book ladder of the library, ready to go and retrieve the Star Do Forest Soul Beast Illustrated and Soul Beast Encyclopedia explanation that she was interested in. If nothing unexpected happened, her first and second soul rings should have been hunted in the Star Do Forest. Just as he pulled out these two books, a small booklet sandwiched between them also fell to the ground. Sikhen jumped down holding the book, ready to pick it up and put it back in its original position, but was stunned when he saw the cover. The 10 Core Competitions of Martial Souls is a familiar name, and let's take a look at the author's signature, Yu Shaojiang. Sikhen had a black line on his face. It turned out to be the work of a waste master. When he flipped through it casually and saw the sentence, "There are no useless martial souls, only useless soul masters," Sikhen couldn't help but chuckle. "What's so funny?" A soft voice sounded. Sikhen suddenly lifted her head. She didn't notice anyone near her just now, and it seemed that she had just started to slack off after a few days of comfortable living. A woman dressed in a luxurious black robe adorned with gold patterns, wearing a 9-curved purple gold crown, and holding a gemstone scepter appeared next to Qian. Her fair skin and almost perfect appearance make her look so unique. Especially the intangible nobility and sacredness revealed on one's body can't help but evoke a feeling of reverence and reverence. Qian's pupils trembled, and he couldn't help but shout in his heart, "Sister, I can do it." Then he easily forgave himself, which was Bibidong. It was normal for him not to notice her existence. Bibidong's gaze fell on the booklet in Qian's hand, and he couldn't help but show a hint of nostalgia. "Little guy, what's your name?" Bibidong's soft and pleasant voice gave Qian a feeling of being bathed in spring breeze. "My name is Qian, and what about you, beautiful sister?" Qian skillfully played the role of an inexperienced little girl. "My name is Bibidong. So it's the Pope's coronation." Qian pretended to be surprised and quickly bent his knees to bow. "I was rude. Please forgive me." "No need to be polite," Bibidong raised his hand and helped Qian up. "He's such a lovely child, and his eyes are also very beautiful. Is it caused by the mutation of his martial soul?" "No, my eyes are naturally like this. My martial soul is not a beast martial soul, but a weapon martial soul," said Qian timidly. "Can I see your martial soul?" This time, Qian didn't ask Bibidong which one she wanted to see, but directly summoned her original sickle-shaped chain blade. The white patterns on the chain blade greatly shocked Bibidong's heart. She is also the owner of the God of Slaying realm. How could she not recognize the blood pattern on the ground of the Hell-killing field when Hell Road was activated? At this age, there is a realm of killing gods. Bibidongdu is determined that Qian must have obtained the inheritance of Shura. Otherwise, with her power, she would not be able to leave the capital of killing. Bibidong immediately decided to win over Qian and said, "Would you like to be my student?" "Thank you for your kindness, Crown Prince, but I have to ask Grandpa what he means." Qian showed a puzzled expression. Although the Pope's sister was very beautiful, Grandpa Angel's handsomeness was unmatched. Bibidong cursed Qiandaoliu repeatedly in his heart, but on the surface, he still looked gentle. "Yes, it's not just a child's play. We need to discuss it with our elders." She tried her best to leave an approachable impression in front of Qian. In her opinion, the child's potential is immeasurable and he must not be at odds with him. "If you have any problems or needs in your future cultivation, you can come to me." Suddenly, Qian had a sudden inspiration and came up with a plan. He said, "Thank you, Crown Prince. I have a few doubts now, and I hope Crown Prince can answer them for me." "Speak up," Bibidong said kindly. Qian opened the booklet and pointed to one of them, saying, "The author said, there are no useless martial souls, only useless soul masters. However, he also mentioned that the size of innate soul power is directly proportional to the strength of martial souls. These two theories seem to contradict each other." "Oh. How do you say it?" Bibidong regarded Yu Shaojiang's works as the standard. Hearing Qian's words, he naturally felt a little dissatisfied and wanted to hear what this little girl could think of. "Isn't it impossible to cultivate without innate soul power? If a person awakens the Ho martial soul and lacks innate soul power to cultivate, can't it be blamed that the Ho is a useless martial soul and that he can't cultivate himself?" Qian asked Bibidong for, humbly, advice. Bibidong fell silent. The child's words made sense, but she was speechless. "And this one, martial souls are divided into two categories, namely beast martial souls and weapon martial souls. I heard that the martial soul of an elder in front of the palace is a ghost, so what kind of martial soul is it?" Bibidong is going crazy. She doesn't know what type of ghost martial soul it belongs to. She hopes that Qian can ask some questions she can answer, otherwise staying silent will damage her dignity as the Pope. "By the way, Crown Prince, are the authors of these theories a very powerful person?" Qian deliberately asked. Bibidong suddenly became enthusiastic. She knows this question, after all, Yu Xiaojiang is her white moonlight. So she praised Yu Xiaojiang in front of Sikhen how talented he was, but unfortunately, his theory did not receive much attention from the Soul Master world. I admire Mr. Yu so much, is he also a titled Douluo like you? Si Chen continued to add his sword, and I believe the Pope would not care about his childlike words. Bibi Dong remained silent again, but under the eager gaze of Sikhen, she had to say something. I suddenly remembered that I have some urgent affairs to deal with, let's talk about it another day. Bibi Dong abruptly changed the topic. Okay, respectfully bid farewell to my crown. Sikhen said as soon as he saw the improvement. Bibi Dongfei also escaped from the library like a flying bird, without even bothering to curse Renxue who was hiding behind the door. As soon as Bibi Dong left, Renxue rushed out from behind the door and rushed straight to Sikhen, praising with a smile, good sister, you really helped me out with a bad breath. Renxue has also heard of the works of the Waste Master. After all, Bibi Dong once highly praised his so-called theories. Sister, how do you say this, said Sikhen Xian. I know your relationship is not good, but I didn't expect it to be so bad. Renxue disdainfully took the booklet from Sichen's hand and threw it aside. You can just treat this book as waste paper. Most of the theories summarized in it have plagiarized the classics of our martial soul hall, and the rest are his own guesses. It's not worth mentioning. That woman is the only one who treats this playfulness as a treasure. Sikhen silently roasted that it was probably because love made people blind. Also, I have investigated Yu Xiaojiang, and that guy dares to claim to be a master, saying that he is the first in the martial soul theory of the Soul Master realm. Who gave him the courage? Renxue became more and more angry as he spoke. Sikhen immediately took Renxue's hand and comforted him, sister, don't be angry. If I encounter this person who is fishing for fame and reputation in the future, I will definitely give him a hard lesson. Okay, let's not talk about these bad things for now. Renxue took out a string of pure and transparent red gemstone bracelets as if offering a treasure, and put them on Si Chen's slender white wrist. Do you like it? This is the storage soul guide I specially selected for you from the treasure trove. Renxue proudly raised her head. These 17 gemstones each have 5 cubic meters of storage space, and they can also store living creatures. As soon as the words fell, Renxue was tightly embraced by Si Chen. I love you so much. Sister, you are the best person to me in the world. From today on, you are my own sister. Thousands of sisters are happy here, but the Pope's palace is a depression. The ghost knelt down on one knee, not knowing where it had offended the Pope. He lowered his head and pondered for a while, perhaps because the information he had collected was not detailed enough, which angered Bibi Dong. Ghost, I ask you, Bibi Dong looked down at the ghost, is your martial soul a weapon martial soul or a beast martial soul? The ghost was taken aback for a moment. He had never thought of such a thing, and he couldn't figure it out himself. He could only answer truthfully. Bibi Dong glared at him with a resentful expression and waved his hand wearily to make him step back. The ghost, like being granted amnesty, quickly left the papal palace and headed straight to the residence of his old partner. Yu Guan was taking care of his beloved flowers and plants in his residence when suddenly a gust of Yin wind struck. Without looking up, he knew that it was his old partner, a ghost, who could have such an underworld aura besides this dead ghost. Chrysanthemum, do you think my martial soul is a weapon martial soul or a beast martial soul? The ghostly voice was completely different from the cold of the past. Ha! Yu Guan's delicate body trembled, so shocked that even the watering kettle fell to the ground. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. The Eternal Soul Ring of Thousand Renxue. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. The Eternal Soul Ring of Thousand Renxue. 2 months later, Renxue proudly announced to Sikhen that his soul power had reached level 40 and he could go to the Star Do forest together to hunt for soul rings. Humph, Chen Chen was the first one to know about this, Renxue said with a proud expression. I didn't even tell my grandfather. Congratulations sister, my soul power has also reached level 27. When my first martial soul is equipped with a soul ring, my soul power will still improve. I believe I can break through the Soul Lord before the age of 7. Sikhen rubbed his hands and looked forward to adding a soul ring to his first martial soul. Not bad, worthy of being my younger sister. Just like me, a genius. Renxue touched Sichen's head with satisfaction. Let's go find Grandpa. Both granddaughters need to hunt soul rings, and Qiandaoliu, who has always been stationed in the Elders' Hall, decided to launch another expedition. In theory, only 1 or 2 titled Douluo could accompany them, but he must not let Renxue and Sichen have any mistakes before they fully grow up. The next morning, a luxurious carriage drove out of the martial soul city, and the guards at the entrance dared not even investigate. There was no other reason, and the driver was none other than the 4-enshrined lion Douluo in the Elder Hall. Some basic soul guiding technology was used on the carriage, which not only had excellent shock absorption performance but also did not compromise speed performance. It didn't take long to reach the outer area of the Star Do Forest. The Star Forest is located directly south of the Heavenly Do Empire. The forest spans across 2 great empires. Due to the numerous soul beasts here, which is also the most indistinct part of the border between the 2 countries, from the map, most of the Star Do Forest is located within the territory of the Star Luo Empire. Of course, the Qiandaoliu Empire has never acknowledged this. At the beginning, Douluo pretended to complain about Qiandaoliu catching him as a laborer and asked Qiandaoliu why he didn't let the second enshrined golden crocodile Douluo come over. Qiandaoliu was in a good mood today, so he kindly explained to him, your second brother is going to take care of his granddaughter at home. If you let your third brother come, then old 5 will also argue to come. If old 5 comes, old 3 may not follow, but I'm worried that old 5 will drive the car into the ditch. As for old 6 and old 7, it's hard for me to separate their twins. Apart from you, I don't want others to know too much about Xiao Shui and Chen. Also, your 8th soul skill, 100 Beasts Bowing, has a controlling effect on soul beasts with lower strength than you. Who else can I choose besides you? I see, thank you very much for valuing me, big brother. Qiandaoliu hurriedly said. Alright, let's go. Qiandaoliu got off the car with his 2 granddaughters and let Qiandaoliu walk behind. He and Qiandaoliu protected Renxue and Sikhen in the middle, one in front and one behind. Grandpa, is our carriage right outside here? Don't you need someone to keep an eye on it? Sikhen always felt that it was dangerous for the luxury car to be placed so carelessly on the edge of the starry forest. Miss Eyre, don't worry, who dares to move the carriage of our Martial Soul Hall? The lion pointed to the emblem of the Martial Soul Hall on the carriage. If there is really someone who doesn't have long eyes moving their mind, The warning is self-evident. Sikhen finally calmed down and walked hand in hand with Renxue in the forest, escorted by an extreme Douluo and a super Douluo. This soul-hunting journey was no different from an outing for them. The trees in the forest are at least over 20 meters high, which is just the outermost part. The dense forest has no path at all, and gusts of fresh wind blow from the front, carrying the fragrance of plants and the moist aroma of soil, refreshing the heart. The terrain in the Star Do forest is very complex, and there is no road in the forest. The lion Douluo and Qiandaoliu switched positions, and the task of clearing the way naturally fell on him. I don't know what type of soul beast Miss Eyre wants. Douluo once participated in a mission to help the former Pope hunt soul rings. He knew that the types of soul beasts needed by the 6-winged angel martial soul didn't care about sacred attributes, light attributes, and fire attributes. However, Sichen's martial soul never appeared in the records of the Martial Soul Hall. Although it appeared to be a strong attack-type martial soul on the surface, there were more than one form of chain blade, and it was also possible to use the control type. As for what type of soul ring to add, Sikhen has already considered it carefully. The series of martial arts moves brought by the hidden dragon technique can be considered as self-created soul skills, so she is also looking forward to adding some buffs to her chain blade that she did not originally have. Well, I want to increase the attack power of my martial soul with the first soul ring, preferably with a tearing effect. The first choice is the dark gold terror claw bear. If you haven't encountered it, other tiger-like soul beasts are also possible, said Sikhen seriously. It seems that Chen has learned a lot of knowledge in the library during this period. He has already started planning his own cultivation direction. Qiandaoliu said with a smile, and his granddaughter naturally looks at her best. Thanks to my sister's guidance, I was able to avoid many detours. Sikhen blinked at Renxue, who immediately understood that the detour referred to by Sikhen was the work of the waste master. As Chen said, the first choice would be the 10,000-year dark gold terror claw bear. Although it may not be easy to find, it is more important to find a suitable soul beast. Spending more time is not a big deal. Qiandaoliu quickly made a decision on their next goal. A few days later, while searching for the dark gold terror claw bear, Renxue was attracted by a peculiar-looking bird soul beast. Just because Renxue glanced at the beautiful bird spirit beast in the forest, it was caught by the male lion Douluo. What a beautiful little bird! Renxue exclaimed. This is a bird that is completely red except for its crown and tail feathers. The most peculiar thing is that its crown and tail feathers are both glowing. At this moment, it is constrained by the 8th soul skill of the male lion and is standing foolishly on his palm without moving. Miss, look, this is a sparrow with 2 attributes. Light and fire. The quality of this flame sparrow is very good, with a cultivation of over 10,000 years, but Xiaoxue is only at level 40, so let it go. Qiandaoliu felt a bit regretful. The male lion Douluo was about to release the confinement of the flame sparrow, but Renxue stopped him. Fourth grandpa, wait a moment, I want to give it a try. Renxue bit her lip. She was originally proud of her best soul ring configuration, but after seeing Sichen's 10,000-year soul ring, she felt a sense of defeat for the first time. Although her 6-winged angel martial soul is also a divine-level martial soul, why can't she also absorb soul rings like Sikhen? Little Snow is not allowed. Qiandaoliu refused to let Renxue take risks. Grandpa, I know my physical strength is not as strong as that of Chen, but it also exceeds that of other soul masters at the same stage. I have considered this matter, and the normal age of soul rings is suitable for most people, but everyone's physical fitness is different, and I am much stronger than most people, so please let me give it a try. Renxue said earnestly, unwilling to give up any opportunity to become stronger. Qiandaoliu met Renxue's 4 eyes, knowing that his granddaughter had always been strong since childhood and would never give up on what he had decided to do. He could only retreat in Renxue's stubborn gaze. Sikhen also stood up and said, I also think that the normal lifespan of soul rings is not suitable for everyone. Strong people like my sister should start from the first soul ring for 1,000 years. Then give it a try. Qiandaoliu still let go. If Xiaoxue can really absorb it at a higher level, it would be great. If not. With his ultimate Douluo cultivation, interrupting absorption is not impossible, but Xiaoxue will need to recuperate for a period of time to absorb soul rings again. Thank you Grandpa. With the permission of Qiandaoliu, Renxue didn't hesitate to use a dagger to end the life of the flame sparrow. At the next moment, a black soul ring slowly floated up, and Renxue couldn't conceal her excitement in her eyes. She immediately sat cross-legged, reached out to stimulate her soul power, and pulled the soul ring onto herself. Subsequently, under the tense gaze of Qiandaoliu and Douluo, Renxue entered a state of meditation. Sikhen also closely watched the process of Renxue absorbing the soul ring, but she was not nervous. Her gaze showed anticipation, and she knew that Renxue would definitely be able to do it. What slightly reassured Qiandaoliu was that during the process of absorbing the soul ring, Renxue did not show any discomfort, but the absorption time of the soul ring was slightly longer, taking nearly 3 hours to complete. As the last bit of energy from the soul ring was absorbed, Renxue opened her eyes and her soul power reached level 41. Qiandaoliu quickly approached to check her condition and said, "How are you feeling, Xiaoxue? Are you feeling any discomfort?" Renxue could no longer suppress her inner joy and excitedly said to Qiandaoliu, "Grandpa, I feel great. It can be said that I have never been so good before." That's good, that's good." Qiandaoliu finally turned his worries into joy. In his opinion, Xiaoxue's safety was the most important. "Let's take a look at the soul skills you've acquired, sister," urged Siken. "Miss, this soul skill must be extraordinary." Qiandaoliu exclaimed in admiration. This was the second time he had seen a soul ring absorbed by a higher level. "Then you should step back, especially in the morning," said Renxue. "My soul skill is called Holy Feather Blade, which belongs to the category of large-scale attack soul skills. Miss, feel free to take action. With me around, Miss Air is absolutely safe." Douluo laughed. "Okay." Renxue released her 6-winged angel martial soul and flew into the air. The 4th soul ring lit up, and as her wings continued to flap, countless shimmering feathers floated down, transforming into feather blades surrounding her. "Go!" Renxue shouted, and countless feather blades shot towards the ground. Every time she shook her wings, more feather blades flew out. The feather blades also carried the power of light and fire, and the moment they penetrated the ground, an explosion occurred. Looking at the scorched and broken ground, Qiandaoliu smiled with satisfaction. Xiaoxue not only successfully absorbed the 10,000-year soul ring, but also obtained a powerful soul skill. How could he not be happy? Renxue slowly fell back to the ground and proudly raised her head. "Grandpa, I succeeded. I knew my sister could do it." Siken felt happy from the bottom of his heart for Renxue. "Miss is indeed extraordinary." Douluo also watched as Renxue grew up. Seeing her acquire powerful soul skills, he was naturally overjoyed. "Alright, everyone has been waiting for a long time. We should go find the soul ring for Qianchen. Her own soul ring has been fixed, and Renxue sincerely hopes that Siken can also obtain a suitable soul ring." End of this chapter.